landlords the most. As far as voucher holders, 2 years is extremely short. And if you're considered low income today, with the way that the economy is and inflation, chances are you'll still be considered low income in 2 years. And the numbers are showing that more people are starting to drop from the middle income earner group into the low income earner group. So the number of low income households are growing. So the fact that they want to put 2-year time limits doesn't make much sense to me, especially when it takes triple that time or even more just to receive a voucher in the first place. Now, I'm not opposed to time limits, but 2 years just seems entirely too short of a time frame. Now, if a 2-year time limit were to be implemented, yes, it would give more low-income families the opportunity to receive assistance because the turnover would be a lot faster, so the waitlist time would be a lot shorter. However, to take a low-income household, assist them for 2 years, and then all of a sudden to snatch that assistance away when rent prices have since gone up, when the cost of living has since gone up, and their financial situation might not have changed much, some may argue that that may do more harm than good. If the program's ultimate goal is to assist families in becoming self-sufficient, 2 years is not nearly enough time to accomplish that. Now, the Section 8 program's biggest problem is, like I always say, attracting landlord participation. One of the biggest advantages of landlords renting their properties out to Section 8 tenants is less turnover and vacancy expenses. Every landlord knows that these are usually their biggest expense. If you keep having to go through turnover, you're not going to make any money. So if a landlord knows that they can only rent to this particular tenant for 2 years before the assistance will be taken away, that's not an incentive for them to want to rent their property out through the Section 8 program. If you keep having to go through turnover, you're not going to make any money. So if a landlord knows that they can only rent to this particular tenant for 2 years before the assistance will be taken away, that's not an incentive for them to want to rent their property out through the Section 8 program. Every 2 years, most of their profit will be completely wiped out. So this would turn landlords away, which would ultimately destroy the Section 8 program. Less landlords participating means less vouchers being issued. So what HUD needs to do is attract more landlords, give them a reason to want to rent their house out through the Section 8 program. Or else, whether it's a federal or state funded program, it'll be a disaster. Another effect of switching the Section 8 program from a federal program to a state program is taxes. And this is something that most likely will affect everyone, not just Section 8 tenants or landlords. And here's why. If the federal government makes it the state government's responsibility to administer, maintain, fund, and run their own Section 8 programs, and the federal government still charges the American citizens the same amount in taxes, which I'm sure they will because I'm sure they're not going to lower the taxes. Now the state governments have an increased financial responsibility. So where's the state government going to get this extra money to run these programs? Now, like I said, they will collect block grants from the federal government, but again, those are capped. It's a limit on how much they can get. So the state is going to have to pitch in some of their own money, and they're going to have to get that money from somewhere. So that most likely means from you and me, whether you're on Section 8 or not. So the Section 8 program switching from a federal funded program to a state funded program will affect all of us.
Shalom, shalom. First off, I give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Makakadash. Yahweh be the true name of Heavenly Father. Yahushai be the name for His only begotten Son, who the world eagerly calls God, in Jesus Christ. I want to give double honors to our apostles, double honors to our elders, a great millstone, and touches truth and will, and salutations to you, hopeful light, pushing this truth, and all honesty and sincerity. This is Brother Yahweh. Continue to listen to the Spirit Power, Yahweh Shai, giving the update in times and events. What you just seen is fair use. It's just a educational reshare. The guy's going over Trump's proposal for his plan for Section 8. And as you know, his proposals, he's been doing executive orders on to put into place. So they're not really proposals. It's just what it's going to be. And, you know, when it comes to quote unquote white people, which are Edomites like Trump, you know, they have a lot of hatred for, you know, these freeloaders in the United States. You know, he's really cracking down on freebie shit and kicking out people that he feels are illegal immigrants. He's got no type of empathy or mercy for, you know, you so-called black women and you Christ, man. You so-called Mexicans and Latinos, man. You know, he's going for it. So he's basically, what he's saying is, in a nutshell, what he plans to do with Section 8 is no longer federally funded. He's going to kick it up, say, hey, the states, you handle your own shit. Okay? And as you know, each state has its own budget. Some states are more well off than others. And a lot of states are actually struggling, you know, when it comes to tax money from the state used to pay for certain things. Okay? So with him cutting that, it puts the squeeze. It puts the squeeze, and also he said, hey, look, you're not about to spend your entire life, 10, 20, 30 years on Section 8, which these black women been doing. You got 2 years on that shit, and then they taking it and they turning it off. You turn it off, and taxes have been raised to adjust to pay for Section 8 from the federal government. Like you said, they're not about to just change that adjustment because they took the Section 8 off federal and made it to state. Nah, they're going to leave that same tax rate that's already been raised up high there, okay? And then the state that you're living in is now going to charge you more taxes out your paycheck to pay for the state level funded, Section 8 programs, which the state doesn't even have to do that. The state has they're not obligated to have a program like that. There's nothing locking them in to do that. So some states altogether could just say, hey, we're not about to waste our money on this shit. Some states might do it, some states might not. Just like when it came to like the whole laws when giving the women the right to do away with their child. You had to drive to a certain state to get it done. Some states was with it, some states was not. There's no law obligating each state to have it. Okay, and like you said, there's certain grants that's in place that the federal government is going to give certain states that a state can apply for that, which is a grant. It's not a guaranteed. They can apply for the grant, but there's a limit on how much money they can apply for, and they have to pick and choose and weigh, what's going to be more beneficial, to either have this Section 8 program or say, no, you just need to get a job like everybody else and work to pay your rent. Okay. But you got so many people that have been, dependent on this system, and you got a lot of taxpayers' dollars being sucking in for somebody just to live freaking rent free for damn near 20, 30 years, man. And taking advantage of benefits. And so a lot of these people too that's in that program, they're not honest. I know an individual personally. She lied and said that she was homeless. To get benefits from the government, and right now as I speak is taking advantage of the system. She lied, said she was homeless so she can get approved, and she's currently on the Section 8 program collecting assistance, man. And meanwhile gets money from the VA and government, and is able full body able to work and all that, but yet is on the program. So you got people like they're out there like that, and they basically, they're using it, and everybody that pays taxes is paying for her lifestyle. Okay, so these programs are out there, but they're getting ready to be done away with because, like you said, there's not enough landlords that are willing to put their properties on Section 8. Because for one, the biggest reason is people that are typically on that program are people that are from the hood and shit, and don't have no type of raising or upbringing. They live a very ghetto lifestyle. It'd be niggas that be on the shit, man. It'd be women that be raising forth monsters, ghetto women that stay in trouble, stay in and out of jail, getting in trouble with the police. They be having a bunch of baby daddies. A lot of them be dirty. They don't take care of the property. They sneak. They get pets when they ain't supposed to have pets. And the pets be pissing and shitting out the carpet, chewing on the walls and tearing up stuff. A lot of them ain't clean. They get a lot of cockroaches. They bring roaches with them. They bring roaches and fucking hood niggas. Roaches and hood niggas. And then more and more niggas. And it'd be smelling like weed and Hennessy. Stank. And they bring a bunch of drama. Police in and out. Doors getting kicked in. People getting shot. It brings that type of energy, that type of crowd, man. And when it comes time to get inspected for Section 8, that's a time period. All these women be sweating. All of a sudden they need some help getting the shit cleaned up or straightened up. They trying to hide stuff, what's been going on, trying to hide the fact somebody been living there that ain't supposed to be, that's freeloading. This is what goes on in the program, man. So meanwhile, the homeowners, the property owners, their shit is getting completely tore all the way the fuck up, run down. you know, and then they had to be forced to just try to like fucking just say, damn, I might as well just sell this shit. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be an opportunity, you know, a business opportunity to make some money off of real estate. You know, you should be able to rent your place out and have that would be a steady stream of income because somebody is getting money from the government to pay you your rent. So you're like, okay, cool. It should be cool, right? But yeah, you got to deal with your property being tore up. You know, you bringing in riffraff, undesirable people that come in your place and they bring all sorts of drama and ghetto bullshit. You know, and it begins to bring down the neighborhood, man. Is what it does. You know, it don't. Most of the time, it don't be no decent people that be on that shit. You know, they be lazy or you know, they just ghetto. They're full of drama, and a lot of times they be dirty. They don't be maintaining the property, making sure it's clean. You know, I've seen it. I mean, all those brothers have seen it. You know, as Israelites, so-called Black, Latino, Native American people, we see what our what the bad part of our people be doing, man. You know, we done met women that's on the program, and it's all the same. All of them that be on there that I done personally met, done tore up their properties. Women that be on this public assistance shit, I done been to their homes. I done seen rat infestations. I done seen roach infestations. I done seen fucking just property being stinky, destroyed, dog shit everywhere, all up behind the couch, sinks hanging off the wall in the bathroom. You know, the whole property being dirty, and then they got a active court case on them, you know, for a lawsuit for the damages, unpaid rent, eviction notices, you know, and meanwhile, those same individual that fuels them to degrade their men, and cause problems, you know, and every man they didn't involved with, they'd be living in these type of situations, you know, they didn't ruin some man's life or something, man. This is what goes on. So the Lord is getting ready to put the squeeze on Esau, Edom, but he's also putting the squeeze on Eve right now. This is Eve's judgment, man. But because with 2 years, you know, on this program, hey, ain't no landlord gonna want to be involved with this Section 8 shit. Because they have to constantly try to find somebody else to be on the program. And like I said, because of all the reasons I just listed, it's a gamble you taking somebody in your property. You might get a you know, a good Section 8 tenant sometimes. Somebody might be generally, you know, need the help, you know, in trouble, and they on the program, they get some assistance and they take care of the shit and it's cool. But that's a dime in a dozen. Most of the time that's not the case. So you might have a good one, and then that person got to get kicked off after 2 years. Now you got to roll the dice with another tenant. And like I said, it's not, like you said, it's not secure. There's no security in that. So right now there's already a small amount of landlords that participate in it, and the ones that participate in it are slumlords, typically, that have property, you know, in the hood somewhere where the shit is already trashy looking any damn way. So they'll just go ahead and patch up some holes in the wall, throw some cheap ass carpet, rip it up, put some new carpet in there, throw some paint, and call it a day. Bring on the next tenant up in there. You know, it's not too common where you have landlords that want to participate in that program that have properties in some decent areas. You know, because they don't want to bring that bullshit in those areas. They want to maintain that area as being nice. And this guy, you know, on his channel, he talks about a lot of benefits of owning property and being involved with the Section 8 program. He's been an advocate for it because it's been working out for him. You know, but now, you know, his tune is beginning to change because he posted this video a week ago. You know, that you know, Trump's proposal has been out. And like I said, all his proposals so far have been executive ordered. so hey man, this is gonna put the squeeze on this shit, man. A lot of states are, you know, a few states are just gonna probably cut the shit all together and say, hey, look, we ain't got the money to do this shit. You know, and then on top of that, you know, brother's been putting out the information within the past few months, over 106,000 black women have been laid off or lost their jobs. And in order for you to be on that program, they do want to see some type of attempt to maintain employment. So a lot of them will be getting kicked off, man. A lot of them will be kicked off. And I don't know how that's going to apply for, women that have already been on the program for over 2 years. Because you got, millions of them already on the program right now. And they've been on Section 8 well over 2 years. Well over. So what's going to happen with them? I'm curious to find out. What if you've already been on it? Because it says his proposal he's going to enact, hey, you got 2 years to be on it. Now, does that, are they grandfathered in if they already been on it? And then the clock resets? I don't know, but I could definitely foresee him doing something like, hey, because Trump isn't with this shit, man. He's not with anybody taking advantage of the system no more. So, with all these trillions of dollars, the United States is in debt. He's on that whole "Make America Great Again" shit, like he's about to make a change. So he's cutting shit. He's cutting it. So I wouldn't be surprised if a part of this proposal or another proposal comes, or executive order, that gives somebody a certain amount of time. If you've already been on it so many years, you got a couple months to go find you a place that's not Section 8. You're going to have to pay out of pocket. And this is going to further put the squeeze on Eve, man, because you came against your kings, man, the head of your tribe, your Israelite men, all for the Section 8 program. This has been the number one reason why, quote unquote, blacks, Latina women, and some Native American women have done away with their household and their families, is because they're getting assistance from the government, so they don't need that man. So they've completely wrecked homes, and because they have what's the word I'm looking for? They have a conditional need for a man. It's usually deals with monetary reasons why they feel a man is needed. They don't appreciate the spiritual reason why they need a husband. They think a husband is solely for only money, and that's it. So if a man doesn't move a woman up in his house and he's not paying her bills, the mindset of your modern day black woman, or a lot of times Latina women too, which are Israelite women, they just go with what benefits them as far as monetary reasons, or gives them a good social media presence. So they're willing to ruin something if those needs are not met. However, the scriptures talk about how a man is your covering, a man is over you, a man is your head, he's your protection. Not only is he supposed to, be able to provide for you to some extent, but the scriptures talk about how, a woman works willingly with her hands in Proverbs 31. You're both supposed to be able to help each other out. It ain't supposed to be the man taking full 1,000% responsibility, and you just lay up and have sex and eat hot Fritos. And then he's supposed to take and put up with all your disrespect and be with you no matter what you do or say to him. That's not real love, man. So because of that, as soon as an opportunity gets thrown at them, hey, look, the white man Esau comes in, hey, I'll pay your rent. I'll give you a place to stay, and I'll give you a job. You don't need him. So they jump shit. But her desire is supposed to be what? The scriptures say, to thy husband. Not to thy Section 8. Not to thy career. Not to thy car. Not to your job. Okay? Not to Instagram and Facebook and likes and TikTok. Your desire is supposed to be to thy husband. But we get it. Part of the curse is our women don't have that desire. Other nations, hey, their marriages, they thrive. Even an Israelite man, he might go deal with a white woman. And she's not on the curses, so her desire is to him. So they tend to be happier when dealing with other nations. They go get an Asian woman or a white woman or East India woman or something like that. They're raised with values. They're raised on how to be women, how to be feminine, how to be wives. So they tend to have extremely long lasting decades and decades of marriages when dealing with them because they're in their right mind. But the selfish Israelite woman that's wicked, this is what she's all about, being on Section 8, disrespecting her man, going in and jumping to get a college degree and trying to desperately make herself above or equal to a man and saying, see, I don't need you, I can do it too. That mentality the Lord is about to strip. Hey, this is going to cause millions and millions of women to lose this benefit. And call all Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai for it. It's deservingly so. Because you women have abused this liberty that this wicked liberty you've been given to gather bride and do all these things that are not convenient and not conducive to a happy family and a happy marriage. You know, instead of putting your money and investing into your family and your marriage, you know, you're putting into invest in yourself and having more options. And here it is, you got 4 kids. 4 kids now, man. And a lot of you got, each kid has their own different dad. And yet you're still meeting other men and putting and a title and an obligation that he needs to wife you up and take on all this baggage and take on all this disrespect and all this unappreciative behavior. And then mistreat him when he refused to do so. The Lord is about to bring judgment on Eve, man. This is Isaiah 32:9. It says, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. It says many days and years shall you be troubled. So we're seeing the beginning of this taking place. These women are finally, Eve, these Israelite women, and women in general, are about to be troubled for many days and years because they've been so careless. And this is especially to take place here in Babylon the Great, aka America. It says, for the vintage shall fail. When you look up that word vintage, let's look this up. Okay, check this out. It says, the year or place in which wine, especially wine of high quality, is produced. Okay. It says, relating or denoting wine of high quality. Okay. The season's yield of grapes or wine or vineyard. Superior, so good times. Okay. It says, from the past that is not new, especially when it's good example styles of the past. So good past, good times. Y'all been living in all these good times of all these benefits. You picking and choosing. You were never supposed to be picking and choosing your men. It was supposed to be arranged to your father. Because you don't know how to pick. And some of you get lucky and you pick an actually off the chain, really good man. But your conduct is so terrible. Your behavior, your character is so shitty. You destroy it and you begin hating the actual good ones. But you flock to the thugs and shit, man. And you have unrealistic expectation that you all deserve a $200,000, $300,000 earner. It's ridiculous, man. It says, the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. So we're seeing the stages of the vintage falling. I mean, look at this, man. It says this is business. It's from May 13th, 2025. So just a few days ago, more than 106,000 black women lost their jobs last month. That's in 1 month, man. Says the April report shows a significant setback for black women in the labor market, even as the U.S. economy added 177,000 jobs and the national unemployment rate held steady at 4.2%. The number of employed black women dropped from 10.32 million in March to 10.219 million in April. Their unemployment rate jumped from 5.1 to 6.1%, the largest month-to-month increase among all racial and gender groups. Wow, man. And there's another article that came out that that quote unquote says that black women are the most educated. No, they're the most enrolled. They say educated because they just pulled up numbers for how many people signed up for college. But more than less than half the women that sign up for college end up staying in school. You know, a lot of them, they can only make it to their associate's degree and they quit. Or they may get a degree and then they get a degree in something because they're not wise. They don't have wisdom. They don't have a husband to guide them or their father to guide them. They go get a degree in something that they're not going to be in a job in. And they got a great degree that's useless that they don't even use. It's for nothing. Okay? And then on top of that, like I said, because of these programs that's been in place, they're rolling these programs and their minds is just so fucking self-centered and fucked up. You know, they get in these dramatic lifestyles and they fuck up a job. They can't keep a job. They get fired. They run off at the mouth at the job, you know, or they get in a dysfunctional relationship where they're being extremely toxic. Somebody's going in and out of jail, you know, and they're having to support some nigga off the street, you know, and they can't keep shit, man. Can't make ends meet, you know, they're not making enough money in the job that they're in, so they have to try to apply for another one, apply for another one, apply for another one. I know a woman, man, she went to like, literally like in 1 year, went through like 6 jobs, like just unstable, man. You know? But the ones that are truly the most educated be the quote unquote Asians, man. You know, Moab and Ammon, and Chinese, you know, Japanese, and you know, people that come over here from other countries. You know, they actually stay in school and graduate over 50% of them fully finish. But like it's like 20% or something. So-called black women actually make it and stay in there. So they're not the most educated. You know, and then, so you got all of them been holding all these jobs, and these employers are looking at them and tired of the attitudes, tired of the issues that they bring. They're tired of looking at y'all, man, with these resting bitch faces and shit. You know, they get on these positions and they try to sleep their way to the top. They flirt with their supervisors. You know, in the military, I've seen it. You know, it'd be the so-called black woman. She's always going for the person at the highest, most rank. Whatever supervisor or staff sergeant's in charge, guess what? She's trying to sleep with him. You know? And everybody's getting fed up with this shit, man. So, hey, the vintage is beginning to fail. This is verse 11, Isaiah 32:11. Trouble ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. You know, this is stages. Many days and years you're going to be troubled. You're going to start losing all your jobs. You're going to lose all your benefits. You're going to lose, you know, the food stamps. And it's going to make you, you know, realize, hey, the Lord's going to show you, yeah, you do need a man. This was just Satan that deceived you, and you drunk of that poison, that strong drink, and thought you were in heaven. And then that's what Satan does, though. You know, he gives you pleasures for a moment, and then he snatches this shit away. So when it's snatched away, and you go to look that you need a husband, guess what? You have no attributes to get a husband, because you spent so much time in your life training yourself to be a husband. No husband wants to have another husband unless he's a mo. You know, if he's a mo, he's not looking for a woman with some coochie. He wants a rod. So you set yourself up to where you lose all the shit, and now no man even wants you because you have no attributes or qualities, and there's nothing to bring to the table as a man is looking for in a wife, which is a woman that is kind, gentle, brings him peace, submissive, knows how to cook, knows how to clean, knows how to maintain a household with no problems or stress, is able to do so and not complain, is in her feminine energy, knows how to carry herself and look feminine, wears dresses, smells good, good hygiene, knows how to take a bath, knows how to douche herself and take care of her box. A lot of these women don't know how to do none of that shit, man. It's getting harder and harder to run across a woman that actually knows how to cook. And then she might know how to cook and know how to clean, and has all that going, but she'd be a hoe. She didn't have too many different men to compare you to. So then that causes fights and arguments, and she becomes very unappreciative, and then that don't work. So your minds is destroyed, man. And guess what? This is just the stages of when jobs are still on. We're coming to a time period where there's going to be a total economic collapse, which means everybody going to be broke. Everybody will not have any money. So now what? Everybody will be homeless. Everybody will just have places that they go to and from as shelters. And there's going to be bullets flying, bombs going off, starvations, and troops in your streets from foreign countries looking to ravish you and kill you. So in that day, you're really going to have no choice but to what? Put on some sackcloth. You're going to do whatever you can find and scavenge, because a lot of clothes you have right now, whatever you're wearing, imagine that shit just being ripped up because somebody done try to have their way, or a gang of men in times of war, and it's dirty. You have no wash machines no more dryers, no maxi pads, no nothing. So them clothes you got is just going to be full of holes or just not there anymore. So they're just going to pick up what they can find and scavenge to cover themselves. And a lot of times that's going to be trash bags, sackcloth, bed sheets. You're going to try to, scavenge up and try to make something out of it to put something to cover your body with. You ain't got no shoes. Shoes going to be worn out from walking for miles, holes in them. You're going to be dirty. Your hair going to be all matted up. Those of you that are at ease. But guess what? Those that come across a true man of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, those men are going to have a special spiritual protection on them. They're going to be healthy. And if he chooses, whatever woman he chooses to go with him, she's going to be taken care of. That's part of his household and his kids. And he's going to have the wisdom and knowledge on how to make shelters, how to make clothing, how to make soap, all of that. So him and his is going to be good. And that's when you're going to be seeking a man. But it's going to be too late. Verse 12, they shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briers. You're upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city. So thorns and overgrowth, everything going to be, war zone, war torn. These are the times that were coming. Now, it's coming in stages. We're basically seeing the early stages of it. It's going to start with this economy crashing and becoming harder for you to get jobs. And so you women you could feel it. You can feel the energy shifting. It's about to get real, real hard for you. And those of you that you had the opportunity, you were given a good man of the Lord, hey, don't let it be that you done been with a man that's out here at the highways and hedges making these videos. And you fuck that up, I mean, you're a walking zombie. Your time is limited. But the Lord going to preserve you and let you live and let you suffer. He ain't going to let you go out easy. You're going to wish somebody shot you. He's not going to let you go. You're going to be tortured, man. The things that you're about to go through is going to be so terrible. For those of you that had him in the Lord and fucked it up and became his enemy, it's not looking good for you at all. This is Isaiah 13:12. It says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Right, man. So the man is going to become the prize again. Right now, women think that they're the prize. And a lot of men are acting like they're the prize, chasing after them just because you have an overly sexualized society, or you got a society where some men are deprived of it. So, and there's so much women walking out naked and, the enticing, there's so much seduction going on. Some men are just simps and overly sex crazed, so they put women like right now as if they're fine gold, but really they haven't been this entire time. And when things become to be extremely difficult and hard, and all these job losses begin to happen, you're going to really see it more and more and more. They're not the prize. It's going to be a hindrance having a woman and having a child. Now you got to not only try to figure out how you're not going to starve to death, but you got to figure out how you're going to feed this child and this woman, and then shield this woman for getting snatched up and men having their way with her and trying to kill you to get access to that. You got to keep your head on the swivel. So that's something that men aren't going to even want in that day. They're going to want that trouble. And all this beauty that you see, all these women that are just gorgeous and got well kept hair, all of them going to have matted hair and stuff. They're all going to stink when shit hits the fan. You know that movie, that Book of Eli, that he was walking by that bridge and that one lady was used as bait. She was at this little shopping cart chained up to it, you know, and she was used as bait. Oh, come help me, help me, help me. But she was looking filthy, man. You could just tell she probably stank. You know, the women are going to be such a liability in that time. But men are going to be the prize. Men are going to have that protection, that strength. Especially a man of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. He's going to have divine protection. It's going to be a big difference. It's one thing to have some knowledge and survival and maybe some hand-to-hand combat skills and know how to shoot. But it's one thing to have all that skill and have angels that you can't see walking with this man. I mean, just let that sink in. Because that's what's going to be, man. This is Isaiah 65:13. It says, therefore, thus saith Yahweh, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. And who are them servants? It's going to be primarily, the men of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, them prophets. We the ones that have been serving Yahushai by going to the highways and hedges and teaching. That's the servants. Okay? And you're going to have a few elect women as well that have been servants unto those men that are going to get delivered. Or you might have a few select women that believe but just don't have a man. Well, the Lord's going to bless them and get paired up with one. But a lot of y'all women that you fan your hand at us and this, and you call this a cult and this and that, the Lord is done with you. You're done. You are done. And you're seeing it, man. Hey, the end is on the horizon for you. With these talks and attacks on all these jobs you're getting ready to lose or have been losing. Section 8 about to be stripped. Hey, y'all finished, man. I was just talking to a woman. It was probably about 3 weeks ago. And she was a really beautiful woman, had everything going for herself, living in OP and stuff. Hey, she was prior military. Life was good, right? Well, the layoffs were coming, man. These government layoffs were warning out, and you could hear the tremble of her voice. I don't know what I'm going to do if I lose my job, my government job. It's happening in cuts. And there's more cuts coming. There's more strikes coming, man. Don't forget what happened at them ports. When they went on those strikes. Hey, that's supposed to be coming back too. And these trade wars and these tariffs is causing more things to get expensive. And these beauty supply stores, all the prices of that stuff about to double. Ooh boy. So you can't pay for things that you put on a pedestal, which you thought makes you more beauty, such as putting on a wig and weave. You can't get that, and they don't know what else to have to do to make themselves look good. That's all they know is to put some damn weave on and go shave their legs. Clothing is going to go up. Hey, say goodbye to Temu and all them shopping getting shit from China. Cost of clothing. Hey, tariffs happen. All these goods that are shipped that have to be put in a container to get to these stores. All that shit gonna go up, man. All the prices of stuff gonna go up. You're not gonna be worried about spending money on fashion because you're gonna have to buy some food to eat. And scriptures talk about how a penny is gonna cause a cost of a penny, which is considered a day's wage in the Bible, just to buy a loaf of bread. You think they're gonna be focused on trying to look cute? No, you're gonna want to try to eat. So, hey, Judgment is coming, man. Judgment is coming. So call y'all, y'all best me shy, man. We about to start to see these women about to, brothers, they're gonna kind of be looking at you a little strange now. They're gonna be checking you out a little bit more harder now, because this is an energy that could be felt that closer to the end, that they're gonna need protection. And the ones that spiritually, physically, mentally are gonna have the greatest protection for a woman is a man of the Lord that's laboring in this truth. So with that, Lord's will is less is edifying. I'm going to close out. Give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Kakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders, great millstone, Tasha's truth and will well, and citations to hope, like truth, and honest sincerity. Shalom.